ashamed of.
The time for this debate has expired. A point of order, Grant Robertson.
Point of order, Mr Speaker. I seek leave for all the remaining clauses of the Royal Society Bill to be taken as one question without debate, and for the third reading of the bill to be held forthwith, with all debate to be completed and all questions to be put no later than 5:25 p.m.
I'm not sure. I know you're seeking leave, but that would therefore be an instruction from the House to the committee. I'll just get a wee nod from the clerk that that's an order. That is an order. So the leave is an order. I now put the leave. Is there anyone opposed to that course of action? There is.
Why do you hate the Royal Society?
Order. Call on private and local order of the day, number 1.
Amendment Bill, committee stage continued.
I declare the House and Committee for further consideration of the Royal Society of New Zealand Amendment Bill. Mr Chairman.
Mr Speaker.
Always hated science.
Thank you. Honourable members, the House is in committee. So, good afternoon. Kia ora tātou no reira te whare. Inga iwi, inga rio, inga hawe wha tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Whiwhi haki. I had you, Mr Mallard. Now, honourable members, it's in committee for further consideration on the Royal Society of New Zealand Amendment Bill. Members, when we last considered the bill, we were debating clause 16, and I invite a member to take the call.
Sorry, Mr Chair.
I call the honourable member David Shearer.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Thank you, Mr Chair. We've been debating this particular bill for some time, and I think it's in the interests of everybody, and particularly the Royal Society. Although I know that we have about 4 years to grace to get this piece of legislation through. Nevertheless, it would actually be in the interests of everybody, and including the Royal Society, who would like to move on with this behind them, for it to be concluded in this session. So I know definitely from certainly the Labour Party's side anyway, that we're keen to progress this as quickly as possible, and to try and get this through, so that we have some closure on this particular piece of legislation before the session of Parliament comes to a close. It is a piece of legislation, Mr Chair, to refresh everybody's memory, that is actually supported by all sides of the House. We've had about a dozen submitters some months ago now that came and submitted in front of us. Some of those submissions, I think the bulk of the submissions were concerned about the inclusion of humanities into the Royal Society's legislation that had established it. And part of that really was that they feared that the inclusion of humanities would water down the Royal Society and make it less focused on what they considered to be evidence-based, type of research that continues and goes on within the science community. I think, having listened to many of those debates, we felt that the Royal Society, which is probably the best judge of the fact of any risk that bringing humanities into the Royal Society's raison d'etre might involve, and in fact we actually believed that it could in fact have been a strength to the Royal Society to have humanities in and amongst the Royal Society itself. So I think, despite the fact that most of those who took objection to that, many of them actually came from the various branches of the Royal Society throughout the country. The fact is that we found was an ill-founded fear and an ill-founded found at risk. The Royal Society, as we know, Mr. Chair, is one of our preeminent organisations in this country. It's been running for well over 100 years. It has some of the greatest, I guess, the greatest pool of talent that New Zealand has in the science community, and now will broaden that into the humanities and social sciences as well. And we did make some adjustments to the characterisation of what might be in and what might not be included. American studies, for example, from memory was excluded, and we involved that in a more generalised definition. So, Mr. Chair, just in conclusion on this, my opening point with on this bill, the Labour Party would like to see this bill have this concluded this year. I think that's in everybody's interest. Certainly, the Royal Society would like this bill to be concluded and to be wrapped up before the end of the year. Three or four years we know exist before this, in the buffer of allowing this to go through. But I think it would be in the interest of the House if we were able to get this through, so that the Royal Society, having made its recommendations, having made its internal decisions within the Society itself, and really only requires this Parliament to rubber stamp the conclusions of this, are able to move forward. So I'll resume my seat, Mr. Chair, with that wish that we process this as quickly as possible, and I'm sure some of my other parliamentary colleagues may want to take a call and to expand on that a bit further. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ian Lees-Galloway.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.